What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video we are going to be having a discussion about Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Manga chapter number 28. I have made a few of these in the last couple days to like a week or so. One of them I did talk about Himawari and the possibility of Himawari actually dying, and I made that video because Kashin Koji did talk about how in one future we had Inojin develop this further level of the mind transfer jutsu in order to avenge Himawari. So if you're interested in that topic, check that out. And I also made a video on Damon versus Mamushi as well, because I feel like that's a battle that we're no doubt going to get possibly starting up in this month's chapter. So check that out too if you're interested. In this video though, we are going to be talking about the possibility of Eida being consumed. And there's a few reasons I bring this up. One of them being, and we can talk about this part a little bit more later, one of them being that I feel like at some point we are going to see a Shinju actually devour one of their targets. And I feel like that's going to happen because we need to see how these Shinju become when they reach this ultimate state or level that they can get from devouring the target that they're, going for. And so far, we haven't gotten that. So, it's going to be one of those things where I feel like someone is going to get caught at some point. I just don't know who it is yet. But we could also definitely have, new Shinju come around and they could go for their targets and then we could find out that way as well. But I feel like with the remaining Shinju that we have left, I'm not really sure if Jura is gonna, get his hands on Himawari because of the way Koji is navigating things right now. So I'm not sure if that's gonna happen. And then the other target, Hidari getting Sarada, I also find that tough to happen just because Koji went out of his way to make sure Sarada got this Mangekyo Sharingan, which he clearly saw having some sort of important use in these timelines. So that's why that kind of only leaves right now Eida, really. Is Eida going to be the one that gets devoured? And part of the reason I also say it is because Eida also has a little bit more of a broken ability, as does Koji, as we know. But Eida also has a really unique ability, and hers is being able to pretty much go back and see anything at any time, and that can be pretty damn useful as it pertains to the village actually acquiring info through let's say Shikamaru just asking Eida to check in on something. So that's one of those things where I feel like if they take that out of the equation, that could be a big blow to the village because having Eida's ability there is pretty useful in some regards. So that could be possible. But I also mentioned this in general because Koji is somebody, based off of last arc alone, from what we saw, you can see that he doesn't really care for, making some sacrifices as long as he sees a future where they have a better chance at winning overall and making it out through all of this. That's the route that he wants to head. He doesn't care if there's sacrifices going on. I mean, in this Sand Rescue arc, we had Yodo sacrifice for Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan, and that was something that Koji definitely foresaw happening. And there's a chance that Koji maybe even foresaw Konohamaru possibly dying, because Konohamaru was pretty damn near death over there in this last arc. He got beat up pretty bad. And Boruto did save him, thankfully. But even though Konohamaru had done all that damage to Matsuri, Matsuri was still like hanging in there trying to get the finishing blows on Konohamaru. So who knows? Maybe in his vision, maybe he even saw Konohamaru sacrifice for that Mangekyo there. We really don't know, but we do know Yodo was going to be there for sure on that list, and that's something that bugged Boruto. And I feel like Koji doesn't really care what Boruto thinks in that regard. He's going to continue making these sacrifices if he feels like they're better for the future's chances of defeating Jura. So I do understand where Koji is coming from in this, because he just wants to ensure, the highest chance of survival. So he understands some sacrifices are going to need to be made. But of course, if you're Boruto, you're not going to want that to happen, especially to people that you're close with, or any of your friends, or even friends of friends, right? Boruto's going to want to definitely make sure people that are innocent aren't really being sacrificed in order for this to happen. Like, he'd rather prevent all casualties that he can, especially people that are close to him or associated with him. So that again brings up the question, do you guys think Eida is going to be the one that gets devoured? Now, there is some evidence, of course, to suggest she won't. For example, Koji making a pretty damn detailed plan over here with Shikamaru about all these abilities and such that Mamushi is going to be pulling up with. Mamushi, as we know, is going to be able to divide, and he can continue dividing at will with no dock on his power, chakra, and stamina. But as he divides more, his intelligence will be going down. So, are they going to be able to take care of him in time? That's going to be the big thing. And who is going to play a big role? Because again, this is a Shinju. This is a creature on a pretty strong level in terms of power. They do know his weak point with the two eyes. They do know they got to target that, and they do know to target him when he's dumber. But in the meantime, before he splits, are people like Damon, Kawaki, Boruto probably, because Boruto's going to pull up in this fight. Are they going to be enough to hold him off and then force him to multiply to all the way to that point where others can interfere too in the village? That might be relevant, but not as strong, of course, as like Boruto, Kawaki, Damon, and be able to play a role in defeating Mamushi here before Eida actually gets devoured. That's the big question here. Is she going to make it through? Definitely an interesting setup for this arc over here with how Koji, laid things out, and how Mamushi's going to attack the village without, the trope of like how we've, not the trope, but like more so the thing that we've seen in the village a couple times now across the whole Naruto franchise, where the village has pretty much been destroyed or near ruin. But we know this time that damage should hypothetically be kept to not a full-scale village destruction, at least in order to respect Jura, because they fear Jura more than they want to disobey him. So they're going to honor that wish. So we don't really see, I guess, like the whole village going out in this fight. But I feel like the village is still going to suffer a good bit of damage, of course. I just don't think it should be on like a full scale. But all in all, that's pretty much me just rambling. The last thing I really want to talk about is, if Eida does get devoured, how much of a power up is Mamushi getting here? Do you guys think, if he does this make him jump to the point where he's like automatically in that Jura kind of tier in terms of strength? Because of course, when you devour the target you're going for, it kind of sounds like they become complete. So I feel like the person, or the Shinju, that's going to be devouring the person, gets to like a level of power that kind of gets them to like their ultimate state of like knowledge and being and instincts, as well as power. So I feel like, again, it's just something that we should be seeing at some point happen in the series. I just don't know who it's going to be right now. Eida's on the clock. We'll see if Eida makes it through. Let's find out in chapter 28, but I'm definitely excited to see where we head from here. But that's going to wrap up this one. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.